Good evening. Welcome to the regular council meeting for November 6th, 2017. If you have a phone or electronic device, I'd ask you to place it on silent. I call this meeting to order, and we'll begin with a moment of silence. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Domingo, would please call the roll.
Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Reed. Brown.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
French. And Mayor Brown.
Here. Are there any councilmember comments this evening? Councilmember Burns.
First of all, I'd like to say, go State. Secondly, I'd like to thank some of our unsung senior citizen heroes of Albion. Martha O'Kinnon, Susan Connor, Phyllis Kramer, Vera Simpson, Lula Mae Harris, and Johnny Craig. These women work overtime to help make Albion what it is and what it can be. I just want to say thank you for their efforts over the long haul. Secondly, I'd like to recognize Amy Deshawn Robertson. She was the former president of the Greater Albion Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Bureau. She was also an executive member of the Albion Homer United Way. I want to thank Amy and give her very much high regard, concern, appreciation, and consideration. Amy worked tirelessly to help the residents of Albion through the Chamber, the United Way, Albion College, and others. And I just want to send a heartfelt congratulations to Amy and her new endeavor. Thank you.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two things. First, a comment. I'd like to thank the city manager, the city attorney, the staff of Albion City, as well as some council members who sent notes, texts, letters, emails of encouragement during the loss of my nephew, Jesse. My family appreciates that, and we thank you for your kindness. Secondly, sorry, am I to go?
No, you're good. I'm sorry.
Secondly, notice Albion Interfaith Ministries, also known as AIM. They are celebrating their first anniversary at their new thrift store on North Superior Street, 113. And they would like to thank us for our support, and they want to let us know that starting November 13th, they will resume their regular hours, because due to the construction, they had adjusted their open hours. So their new hours will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they are located downtown, as I said, and just FYI, the Christmas basket program, they're about to get that started. So if you are a recipient, you should probably contact them to get further information, or if you've been a past recipient. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to announce that on November the 15th at 6 p.m. at the Washington Gardner Building, I'll be having a town hall meeting. The things on the topic for discussion is our water tower, what's underway for the Union Steel building. And I just want somebody to know that I did reach out to Cindy Stanzik, I think that's how you pronounce it. I sent her an email about the feral cats, and I'm waiting for a response. So if anybody could contact her and let her know that I did send her an email about it, that would be awesome. There will be some neighborhood stabilization being discussed, so I hope that everyone comes out. It doesn't only have to be for a precinct, it can be any precinct, so you're more than welcome to come.
Thank you. Are there any further comments from council this evening? Wanted to just have well, an acknowledgement and then a request. So one, just congratulations again to Lewis Chapel AME Church on the occasion of their 100th anniversary. There was a dinner on Saturday and then a service on Sunday, so wanted to acknowledge them on that historic occasion. And then also this time of year, there are a number of board and commission seats that come open, and I actually brought some applications tonight with me. So beyond City Council, there are other boards of the Board of Review, the DDA, the EDC, Planning Commission that help council do the work of the city. So if you are interested in that, please let me know and I'll give you an application. And with that, we will move on to the public hearing. Item A under public hearing is public comments on the future land use and zoning. So I will open that public hearing. And if there are any public comments on that, please come forward. Okay. Would you like to?
Sure.
Yep.
Mayor and council, the reason that this is on today's agenda is that we are allowing at each of your regular meetings an opportunity for citizens to provide any input or response relative to the future land use plans and zoning plans for the city. In general, this is requirement under the Redevelopment Ready Communities program, as well as we just really need to update our zoning. So the zoning itself will be based on what is the vision that is described within the zoning plan. So that's the document you have before you, and we are in the process of soliciting public comment. So the zoning, the future land use plan, the Planning Commission will have their final public hearing on Tuesday, November 21st at their next regular meeting. And then with any language changes that are incorporated, that will be brought to your final approval on December 4th. And assuming that you don't have any major change, it'll go back to the Planning Commission for final adoption. So this is an opportunity for residents to identify if there are areas where they want to see in the future residential development, or if they want to see mixed use or industrial in particular corridors or adjacent to neighborhoods. And we are proposing to consolidate some of the districts, so there aren't so many of them.
One question I do have, so if a resident's interested in, I guess, seeing the map that was at the Planning Commission or documentation, how can they get a hold of that?
One, I believe, is online, or they can ask the clerk, myself, Daniel Nelson at the EDC, or John Tracy in the planning.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any comments from council? Okay. I'll close the public hearing. And we will proceed to presentations. Item A under presentations, a supply chain projects presentation from the Albion College. I'm assuming Gerstacker.
Awesome. So first, we just wanted to say thank you, Mayor Brown and everyone on the council, for listening to our research. It was a privilege to work with City Manager Cheryl, along with Stacy and Chief Scott, throughout the beginning of our semester, and we hope that the research that we present to you today helps you all move forward in what we expect to be like advancements to the City Council. So first, we just wanted to go over our agenda. What we did this semester was look at laptops as well as security advancements for you all, and what we can do to do the research to help you further your knowledge of it. We also worked with telecommunications to figure out what would be the best solution for you all, as well as the city in saving money. The first thing we were going to talk about is the laptop. We did research on several laptops, but we found that the HP laptop was the most cost efficient, as well as presented all of the functions that we needed to for you all. It presented that it was something that we found that it was beneficial to put a little more money into the laptop, as well as purchasing 10 laptops instead of just 9. That way you had a backup laptop in case something spilled, I drop my laptop all the time. Why not? So.
So next we looked into systems that would be used on the laptops, and we found that you guys are all pretty familiar with the Microsoft Office system. And this desktop and web version includes Outlook, Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And IT Right currently gives you IT support right now, and we called them and they pulled up a quote where they can supply Microsoft Business for you guys. So we thought that going through IT Right would be the best option. We already have an established relationship with them, and they gave us a fairly good quote. And then additionally, as far as email goes, we would allow IT Right, as we're going through them and they run your email right now, you can keep the @cityofalbionmi.gov domain name, and you can add as many mailboxes as needed underneath it for no extra cost. And then as far as security goes, we again contacted IT Right. We're already using them for security. That seemed like our best option. And they produced a quote that included security and a monthly fee, which we'll talk about later. And then it also includes just like updates to the laptops and laptop upkeep. And that's a fee that they gave us in their quote that we'll talk about later. So for systems and security, going through IT Right for the laptops is our best option.
So for this project, we had a budget of $10,000 to implement the laptops. And as Aggie mentioned, we chose to go with the HP laptop. The laptop costs $455 per laptop. So for 10 laptops, that totaled to $4,550. In addition to the cost of the laptops, we had to pay for the Office 365 applications, the online functions for Office 365, the managed antivirus software, as well as the IT support. This totaled to $6,157, and with our budget of $10,000, this brought us in under budget by $3,842. The city would be able to use that money for where else they see fit. In addition to the implementation costs, there is reoccurring costs that will reoccur annually, and these costs are associated with the Office 365 applications, the managed antivirus, and the IT support, and these reoccurring costs total to $1,607.
And then finally, for our group, we also looked at training. When we were given the case to begin with, we were told that the training would vary across the different members of the council. We found that Albion College has offered their assistance for our IT group. Once they're updated on what you have on the laptops, they will get themselves acquainted, and they will also be available, as well as IT Right said that they had 24/7 assistance if needed, as well as Office 365 having online tutorials and 24-hour assistance.
So we were working on the telecommunications of updating the city's wiring systems from what it is currently to fiber optics. Did I break it? There we go. So we split our team, the group into 3 teams. 2 of them looking to contracts and the equipment, and 1 of them looking into grants and budgets to ease the cost of upgrading the telecommunication systems. In our presentation, we will look through what is fiber optics and why we need to update them, what other municipal courts are using fiber optics, what current contracts we have, and the grants that we will use or what grants we looked into, and the action plan looking into the future. So fiber optics, for those that don't know, is a cable that fits into existing wiring systems, and it significantly increases data that can be transferred with optic fibers. In this case, it would be used to make sure that communications from City Hall to everywhere else is consistent, wouldn't shake down. And the nice thing is it can fit into existing lines. We know that the Ludington Center is using it, and we could run a wire off from their system into City Hall and all the satellite systems that we have. And we're looking to increase it from about 50 or even to 100 megabytes per second, which is a significant increase to what City Hall has currently.
Alrighty. So looking at other communities around Albion, going as far as Ann Arbor, Dexter, Michigan, Linden Township, which is commonly Chelsea, Michigan, Jackson, Michigan, and Marshall, they're all currently using fiber optic systems. The reason why they switched is they wanted a system that has no interruptions, a lot more stable in case of emergencies or fallout incidents. Ann Arbor and Jackson are larger cities. However, Dexter, Linden Township, and Marshall are reasonable size comparisons to Albion. We've looked at groups like the Lansing-based group AriaLink, which was recently taken over by Zayo. They have fiber optic systems all throughout Ann Arbor. Unfortunately, they are ridiculously expensive. Of course, we looked at Powderville, Michigan, which has WOW, which is currently being used at Albion among 3 other companies. We're also looked at Comcast, which is also called Xfinity, Verizon, and a little bit into AT&T. So the current contracts that we have are with Verizon, AT&T, Telnet, and WOW. And that's across a few different satellite locations other than City Hall, including public safety, the water tower, cemetery, and such things. The current drop fees to cancel right now, as many of those contracts last till 2019, is $8,400, which we'll speak on later, but we do not believe it's cost efficient to drop those fees at this time. So that brings us to WOW. We spoke to multiple different companies that use telecommunications. Again, we used Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and funny enough, they all pointed us back to WOW. Their services do not reach to many areas of Albion, and that made it difficult for us to contract with them because they could not cover all of Albion as a whole. So WOW is currently quoting Albion City Hall at $488.50, which is a fantastic deal in comparison to other companies that are offering $700-800 with installation costs of $5,000 to $7,000 each, which the installation cost would be free of charge with this under contract. Again, they've approached the new hotel being in place, and also the Ludington Center, which after speaking with the IT services for the Ludington Center, it is a possibility that we can pull from their lines.
So along with this, we looked into potential grant opportunities just for extra funding. Always nice to get a little extra money to help out. We looked at Michigan's Economic Development Corporation, looked at the USDA, looked at different industrial, agricultural, all of those opportunities. Unfortunately, Albion didn't qualify for most of them. We either have too big of a population, or we, surprisingly enough, already have too fast of an uploading and downloading speed to qualify for those. And some other contacts that we tried reaching out to wouldn't always correspond with us, probably because they kind of saw that we were college students and didn't really want to discuss those type of things with us. But definitely down the road, something to look into. You guys might have a better opportunity of them responding to you. But those were just certain things that we looked into. Always nice, like I said, to have some type of extra money on the side.
Sure. Alrighty, so where do you go now from this point? So at the moment, again, we believe that you should not drop the fees for the satellite locations that end in 2019. It is not cost effective for the city of Albion. Once those contracts are up, however, based on our research of multiple different telecommunication companies, we believe that you should go with WOW. It's the most adequate and most efficient of the other companies. And as we discussed, there have been challenges focusing on grants as we are students and don't have privileged information to City Hall. So we urge you to look into those grant suggestions and the contacts that we provide in order to possibly find additional funding. Thank you. Also, that actually already goes into it, but again, it's, as a student population, we had difficulties looking into certain things of City Hall. So again, using our contacts that we were able to find, we believe you will have a good opportunity to get some grants. Thank you.
Mayor, if I might, before you leave, if I could ask, if you could provide an overview on why you're here and what class you're participating in, what's the project overall?
Absolutely. So we are part of an E&M 359 management class at Albion College, which is taught by Vicki Baker. And part of the management class, we decided to be part of the supply management projects in a correspondence with the college and City Hall as a whole. So we are a small group of the class from a much larger class that have been researching these two projects over the last couple of months. So this was our final proposal today. We hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you have any more questions, reaching out with Cheryl and Stacy, we're available anytime you need it. Thank you.
Councilor Barnes.
You stated do not drop the satellite contracts in what year?
Oh, the information we were provided was that they are completed in 2019.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Probably.
While they're doing that, we'll move on to item B under presentations, introduction of Eric Worley, who is the new president of the Greater Albion Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau.
Whoops. Good start, Eric. Everything's on YouTube already. All right. Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I want to thank you for allowing me to come and introduce myself to the city tonight. My name is Eric Worley, and I recently started as the new director and president of the Greater Albion Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. I'm excited to get started, really start helping promote a really thriving business environment here in Albion. And one of the things that we are starting, one of my first projects, is the Albion Aglow Parade and Downtown Open House. We all can recognize the effect that the recent project has had downtown, and kind of the effect it's had on some of the local businesses down there, not only downtown, but the whole city. And so with the assistance of Assistant City Manager Stacy Levin and Laura Freeman from the AmeriCorps Vista program, myself and a committee of some really driven local business persons, as well as just city residents who really want to do whatever they can to help out, we've kind of got together and planned this event to incorporate Albion Aglow as well as this downtown open house. Really to make an opportunity to showcase that these downtown businesses are still here, they're still ready to serve you and whatever you need. Just to give you a brief rundown of what the day is going to look like, on Friday, December 1st, we're encouraging downtown businesses to stay open from 5 to 9 p.m. to try to get some extra hours to get some business coming in. We're going to be doing the tree lighting at Bernellis Park, which is on the corner of Cass and Superior, at 6 p.m. We're going to stage for the parade behind Kids and Stuff from between 7 to 7:15 p.m. with the parade starting at 7:30, coming out to the corner of Cass and Superior, and then heading south all the way down to the corner of Superior and Erie. Santa will, of course, be riding on the fire truck as he always does and be lowered down in front of Kids and Stuff, and will be available to meet with all the kids in the area until about 9 o'clock, whenever Santa's granted all his wishes that he needs to. There'll be more information coming out as details get finalized with participants of the parade and which businesses will be participating in the after hours event. We created a Facebook page. If you look up Albion Aglow, I believe it's live. If not, it should be tomorrow or the next day. People can get up-to-date information there. We send out press releases to a lot of the local newspapers and magazines and websites that do the e-news. So keep your eyes on that, and we'll get some more information out shortly. And I'm excited to be here, be a part of the city, and fostering this really great business environment that I think we can all feel starting to build up in Albion. I want to just do whatever I can, and I'm excited to work with whoever wants to be involved with that. You can find me down at the chamber Monday through Friday, and if I'm not there, I'm probably out talking to some business owner, trying to get them involved as well. So if you miss me there, I'll be back there shortly. So I want to thank you all for allowing me this opportunity to introduce myself tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we'll have public comment. Persons addressing the city council shall limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes. We ask that you observe proper decorum and speak only to items on tonight's agenda. The council won't answer any questions. It'll basically just an opportunity to speak to the agenda. So are there any public comments this evening on the agenda items? Okay. Oh, and please please come forward, state your name and I guess address at the college.
Hi, my name's Hannah Reamer. I'm from the college, and I've just come to participate in tonight's City Hall meeting. So I was just curious about the presentation that was just brought about with the Albion College students. What feedback do you guys receive from those types of presentations here for City Hall meetings? Like, what benefits do you gain from those types of presentations, and what information did you guys kind of receive from that? That's what I was curious about.
The best thing to do is probably the meeting's pretty short tonight, so probably after the meeting, I think council people can stick around hopefully and answer specific questions like that, if that's okay.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment this evening on the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move forward to consent calendar. Basically approval of regular session minutes on October 16th and budget study session minutes on October 23rd. Special session minutes for October 30th and study session minutes for October 31st. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda calendar?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Thank you. Items for individual discussion. Item A, request approval, resolution number 2017-44, a resolution to approve expenditure of repairs to the Star well. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I'd ask the manager to present on that.
Mayor and council, in regards to the Star well, and Director Jim Lennerson is also here in case you have specific questions. There was a need for emergency repairs, and we received a quote that's enclosed in your packet, and we're asking for your approval. I believe the amount of the quote was $13,445, including a contingency, making that total request for approval of $15,000.
So my initial question, I know there, and I might get the wells confused, but there was one that we had to go remove the pump out and repair, probably in the past
Correct.
3 or 4 years.
About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I got that phone call that the directors don't want to answer. My water operator called me and said that our number 2 well at Star Commonwealth, basically it shut down to an overheating situation. So what we did was got a hold of our pump maintenance people, which is Northern Pump and Well out of Lansing area. I had them come to investigate, find out what the issue was. What they're telling me, and I'm still doing my research on it to find out why, is that it was iron locked. Evidently, the pump had pulled in enough iron out of the system to actually bind the pump itself and make it stop. Therefore, the motor couldn't turn it. So then the motor goes into an overheating situation, which basically shuts it down. I will say that in 2015, we had that well pulled, and I also had it televised at that time for just that very issue, to check the condition of the well. I was told at that time it didn't look bad comparatively for as old as the well is. So basically that's where we're at. It's a primary source of our drinking water, so at that point, I knew we had to move ahead with it. DEQ is not gonna want it out of service for very long, and us use our backup wells at Clark Street.
So so just for the public, are we talking about repair or replacement or?
It was a repair. They basically removed the pump itself from the well, took it to Lansing, cleaned it, removed all the iron out of it, brought it back, put it back down in the well casing. We are currently waiting for bacterial results to put it back in service. As far as I know, it operates fine, but we have to pass 2 bacterial results before we can put it back in service. It's a safety thing.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So are there any plans or discussions on how to prevent this from happening again?
The one thing they did do when they had it out of there is they acidized that well to help drop that iron out to the bottom of the well. As I say, I'm doing some research. I've talked to a couple of different people that are a little more familiar with wells than I am, to find out potentially what may have caused this so we can not have it happen again. So.
Thank you.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. Councilwoman Brown asked about repair. I'm going to ask about replace, the cost.
That pump was just rebuilt in 2015.
Okay.
I will say that it was the first time it had been out of the ground since it was put in. And it was entirely rebuilt and runs really well, last I knew, up until our little issue. But before that, it's pumping really well. So I don't see a replacement, knock on wood, anytime soon for that. But we do have to find out what that iron locking cause was and alleviate it, so.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from council? Paying for it. Which fund?
I'm sorry?
Which fund to fund the repairs?
It'll come out of the water fund, the repair will.
Okay.
There's money there for it, so.
Okay.
In this case, we really didn't have a choice because it is a primary well, so.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize. It was just a last minute pop in my head question. So do you have a timeline that you're trying to figure out what happened? How do we prevent this from happening again?
I'm working on it.
Okay, I know you are.
I'll get it as soon as I can because I don't want it to happen again either, believe me.
Okay, I
So,
appreciate that.
right.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Councilmember Barnes.
Jay took me through the system a couple of years back. We had taken that pump out at that time, as you stated, and sent it to Lansing. I just want the citizens to be fully aware. We have taken that down, have the backup pump running. The water is completely safe, and this is another maintenance issue that we were expecting to happen down the road. Some things may happen.
Exactly.
Speak to it, thank you.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further discussion, I'd ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Barnes, Reed, and Mayor Brown.
Yes. Item B, request approval city attorney retainer agreement. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. You want to speak to that?
So this is essentially the same retainer agreement that was entered into back in 2015. At that time, when we switched from Bodwin Associates to the current firm, the contract went down from about if I recall, it was 89.5, down to 85 per year, and that continued for 2 years. As the council is aware, we requested a $2,500 increase this year. So the contract before you reflects a slight increase to 87.5. The only other substantive change that I made was adding paragraph 7, which is something that probably should have been included before. It just mandates that our office, which we've already done, and we've done it since we've been with the city, but it just spells out in writing that we maintain professional liability insurance and provide proof to the clerk. We actually maintain more than what's set forth in paragraph 7, but that's $1 million is pretty standard for most municipalities. I think our current policy is actually $1 million per incident and $2 million aggregate. There are 2 corrections. I just noticed 2 typos on the first page, paragraph 3, subparagraph C. The second line, it should read federal courts, not federal course. And in the same paragraph on the 4th line, it should read income tax prosecution instead of income prosecution. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
Is there any discussion from Councilmember Lawler?
Thank you, Mayor. So you said nothing has really changed except for number 7?
That's the only addition that I made, aside from the
Increase.
the amount increase, and then obviously the final paragraph, the effective date, because the new effective date. We're not asking for this to take effect until January 1 of 18, so that'll line up with the upcoming budget, so that the city can plan accordingly.
Okay, so can you explain to me, in number 2, and Mayor, have we been doing this previously, in matters where the attorney has a conflict of interest? What would be the conflict of interest?
This hasn't come up since, to the best of my knowledge, since we've had the office, because our office is obviously out of county. But if, for example, an elected official were to get, say, a traffic citation, that would be a conflict of interest for us, because our contract would require us to prosecute somebody that also votes on our contract. So that would be a situation where we would approach you and say, Councilwoman Reed was clocked going 100 on Cass Street. Somebody, not that far-fetched, I know. We need outside counsel to come in and handle that case, because that would be a conflict for us. But that's a general example. Or if there was some kind of internal civil suit between two an elected official and an employee or something like that, that could be a problem too. But things along those lines.
Okay.
But to the best of my knowledge, it hasn't come up since we've had the office. Since 2011.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened. Are there any other? Oh, yes, miss.
In G, under 3G, it says advise the council relative to hiring outside attorneys.
Yeah. I think that has only come up once or twice. If the city runs into a unique issue, for example, if we contract with outside labor counsel, we contract with outside telecommunications counsel. I think once in 2012, we retained outside counsel for an appeal that was outside of our normal area of expertise, and it was something that we wanted outside counsel. So we approached the council and asked them to hire outside counsel. So basically, it's another rare circumstance, but when something falls into a specialized area of law that we don't have our primary practice in, we usually come to council and ask to hire outside counsel for that specific incident.
Thank you.
And I will add that we did that this year for the trust.
Yes, and that would be another reason.
Thank you for your questions. Is there any other discussion from council this evening? Okay. Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes?
Spicer,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed, Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. Item C, request approval memorandum of understanding, archival consultant. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. City manager.
Well, we're very thrilled to have Mr. Justin Seidler. Is he in the audience? He's going to be here next. Okay. And he volunteered to help us with the archival of many of our documents and pictures because they're not being properly stored. We've even found some books that are from the 1800s that are just being stored in a vault, and pictures that are decades, if not 100 years old, that are just collecting dust in the bottom of a closet. So we need to preserve these artifacts, and he has stepped forward and has indicated his willingness to assist us with, one, documenting them as well as making sure that they are preserved properly. And he'll make those recommendations to us on how to proceed with individual items. And it's at no cost to the city. But we wanted to make certain that the arrangement was documented in a memorandum of understanding that was drafted by our attorney.
Are there any questions or any discussion from council on this?
I just have one question.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. For how long is this memo of understanding in effect? Until he finishes or indefinitely?
I believe either party can exit with a certain notification. I don't recall what that notification.
And is that the only question?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, yes.
The question I have is, in this kind of public, is there any particular, is this like a retired archivist or
If I could
what's
ask
this?
Assistant City Manager Stacy Levin to come up and provide some additional details.
Good evening, everyone. This came about out of a conversation, actually, with Justin Seidler. It was a fluke thing. He told me what he does. He's over at the college. He is an archival consultant there. And I said, ooh, do I have a project for you? And he agreed. And he came along and he took a look, and we have exquisite documents. They're just, as City Manager Mitchell mentioned, they're not being stored properly. And he gave us, I guess, what I would call some kind of list, an assessment initially, and he said he would do it free of cost. So I believe it's ongoing, so as long as we're happy and he's happy.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one question for Attorney Harkness. Have you reviewed this? Is it something you would say is not a liability for the city and okay to proceed?
Yeah, actually, our assistant city attorney drafted this, and I looked at it. I mean, the reality is, since the position is a volunteer position, that's why we called it a memorandum of understanding as opposed to a contract, because there's really no what we call consideration. We're not paying anybody in exchange for the services. So, but we did build in a release and hold harmless paragraph as paragraph 8, so that if for some reason he's working on stuff and one of the giant leather books falls down on him, the city's not liable for anything like that. And so I think we're pretty well covered. It's because it's volunteer, it's an indefinite term, so but we can end it at any point because there's no money changing hands or anything like that. They're not an employee of the city. So
I just wanted you to verbally state that you had approved this and that,
Yep.
because there is, I know, liability even if you're not an actual employee on the payroll, that could be, so thank you, appreciate that.
no problem.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed, Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes?
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. discussion council training dates with MML. I know that this is, Councilmember Reed has signaled interest, I know I've signaled interest, and the manager has, and I wanted to get a sense of dates. I know I talked to the president of the MML twice, I want to say last week or the week before, and he offered basically full support if it meant coming down himself to work with us. So I wanted to get a sense of possible dates, and I was thinking, I know that when council did the MML training at the beginning of the year, I want to say both of those took place on a Saturday. And so it kind of gave us a little bit more time, and I was just wondering if that's something we could fit in on a Saturday morning. I guess start with that. Councilmember Barnes?
Can we have discussion?
Yeah, yeah.
My concern with this item is, when I first saw it, I said, what do we specifically need training in? The city charter is intact. We've discussed revision of that. Robert Rules of Order is intact. Open Meetings Act is intact. Council Rules of Procedure has been revised a couple times, and right now we're waiting for council to approve it through the committee that we had. I don't know if this is a financial situation that the city would incur. However, I've been on council 7 years, and it's hard for me to understand what training do we need to have when everything's in place.
Well, I'll just remind, as a reminder, at our last, I'm gonna say not the last special meeting, but the special meeting on the 30th, the council approved a resolution, asking the city manager to rescind her resignation, and as part of that, we stated that the council was going to make some effort to make sure that, all of us have clarity on roles, and kind of, see what we can do to make sure that that's working. So this is an outgrowth of what the council has already committed itself to. So, I think it's worth it. When I talked to the president of the MML, what he even offered was to, have some experienced city managers come down and elected officials and kind of have a dialogue presentation about the different methods that they use to, handle communication issues, to handle, the overlap sometimes between the council and its policymaking role and the manager in the administrative role. So I think it will give us a chance to think through some of the concerns that were raised on both sides. So, go ahead.
Yes, I respect the direction the council has asked. What I just asked the question now is, what's our thesis? What's our subject sentence? What is our outline? What are the true elements of training that we need? Even though they, volunteered to come down, what elements has this body stated they needed training in? When I went to the MML, there were certain classes that I signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
So it was clear and concise on what training I was getting, going to conventions, going to conferences that helped teach me how to be a counselor. I understand it. There's a lot of MML training. But shouldn't we as a council specifically state what we need and identify the shortcomings that we may feel we have in statements you said as communication? Shouldn't we at least sit down in some type of study session saying, hey, what do we really need? Instead of just moving forward without a clear direction of training that we need, because again, charter, Robert's Rule, OMA, council rules and procedures. You can have a law, But if the law's not enforced, it takes the law away from us.
Okay. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to kind of piggyback off what Councilmember Barnes is saying, the item on the agenda tonight is asking us for tentative dates, correctly?
Yes.
Correct. So I do not oppose scheduling a work session with council to identify specific training needs, but I'm asking that we throw around tentative dates tonight so we can kind of.
So is that dates for a work session or dates for the actual?
Both.
Facilitated, okay. So, let me pull my calendar. Councilmember Reed.
I know I'm not going to be available on the 20th, but next week, if we could get a work session as to what date we would like it to have it, and then what we would like to choose. And then if we could get that done in December, we would be ready to kick off the beginning of the year with everybody in place on what they need to know and what they need to do.
So what I'm going to propose, we have a budget session next Monday on the 13th. And I know we've been meeting a lot in recent weeks. I didn't want to put something extra this week. So maybe next, and plus there's the Veterans Day thing on Friday. So perhaps Tuesday, the 14th of November, we can have a work session discussing this. I don't think it should take a long time. And then also combine that with something else I want to remind council of is a study session on code enforcement. So what we could do, if there's consensus around that, is on November 14th, have a 2-item work session for code enforcement and then discussion of necessary training. And then can we, and it's going to depend too also on the availability of facilitators. Would a Saturday in theory be a good time? Not necessarily picking the Saturday right now, but would that be good for council? Or is there any objection to a potential Saturday if we can schedule that? Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Personally, as long as it's in the morning.
Okay.
I find Saturdays pretty open.
Okay. What we can do so that we don't take up the council meeting doing logistic stuff. So there's consensus that everyone would be okay with that next Tuesday for the work session.
At 7.
At 7. Okay. So we have that consensus, and what we'll do, I'll ask the city manager or clerk or basically to send out just an email and see which Saturdays will work, because basically the 18th might be too soon. The 25th is right after Thanksgiving. So maybe like the 2nd of December. I don't know, that might be close, but we can do that, do a doodle poll. Okay, is there any other discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, thank you. We'll move on to item E, request approval resolution 2017-45, a resolution for approval of contract with Abraham and Gaffney, PC for fiscal year 2017 auditing services. There's a
second.
Moved and seconded. The one question I have is, when was the last time we kind of did like a bid for that?
I believe they have been contracted with the city since 2010, and in fact, we were in the process of going through creating an RFP.
Okay.
And I attended one of the meetings. Finance Director may want to come up. I attended one of the meetings of the library board, and they were also in the process of looking at an auditor. So it seemed to make sense to collaborate in terms of moving forward since we use the same one. As part of that conversation, it was determined that there are some elements of our financial support for the library system that we may need to segregate out. So that would have an impact on whatever auditing firm we would have. So we decided not for this year to do that, and as we go through the steps of identifying what, if any, collaborations we'll have with the library and which firm we need to select based on those services.
Good evening, Tom Mead, Finance Director. And there's several things going on with this that I would like to try to provide some clarity to the council if I could. And I apologize, I didn't catch this one particular issue until just sitting here tonight thinking it through. But as you may understand, I've been kind of buried in numbers, and I don't, sometimes with the budget going on, I don't get into some of the other details quite as much as I should. If you look in your packet, there was the section that pertains to this audit. The first page is a letter on the Abraham and Gaffney letterhead to the city. And that letter was basically for them to announce to us that they were reorganizing their firm. So I want to provide some clarity on what's going on with this. The following letter is from their new firm, new name of their new firm. And so basically what they did is this. They had, like any traditional auditing firm, CPA firm, they had an income tax division and they had an auditing division. And they have just decided to separate those two divisions. So then this new firm, it's still going to be all the same staff. As a matter of fact, the one partner name on this, Stevens, Korinovic and Tucker, Bill Tucker is the partner who oversees the Albion audit. So he is still with them. We'll still have all the same staff. But the actual audit will be done, or the contract, I guess, if you will be with this new firm, the name of the new firm, but it's all the same people. So I just wanted to point that out in case there was some confusion as to what this other name was. And the other issue, like Dr. Mitchell had mentioned, because the same firm has done our audit and the libraries in conjunction, and because we do all the accounting for the library, most of their records are in our office downstairs. So it worked out where they could, it saved the staff a lot of time having them come in, because while they're doing our audit, they're also doing the audit for the library and pulling records, for the library as well. I think as we go forward, it looks like we're going to be segregating some of that stuff out, and so going forward, it may make, it may be easier, I guess, on everyone to look at doing an RFP at that point in time. But for this year anyway, we were hoping we could continue with the same firm, simply because the library agreed to go with the same firm, and if we go with the same firm, it sure saves a lot of time when they're in trying to, help them with records and everything else. And when we get down that road looking at the RFP, I was actually just at a training in September, I think it was, and there was a very good discussion on doing RFPs for your auditors. And when we get to a point where we'd like to do that, I would like to bring some of that back and share with the council.
So we're talking about, like, that'd be what, next year?
That's a possibility. If you'd like to do, I mean, if that's something the council would like to pursue.
Yeah, because this probably falls under professional services, so we don't have to do bids, but I think it's probably a good thing to do it if it's been 7 years. So.
Yeah, and it could have been a little longer than that too. I can't remember the exact date that we switched from let me think here, Plant Moran, to these guys, but it's been a while. Yeah.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So Attorney Harkness, I want to be clear before we vote on this resolution, that the name change, because right now, the way it's written, it has the Abraham and Gaffney, and what I heard was that we need to switch it to the new name.
So, Mayor, if I might, would it be appropriate to entertain an amendment that would say the new name, and I can't pronounce this, Stevens, Korinovic, and Tucker,
Yes.
formerly known as Abraham and Gaffney in the title and throughout the document.
Is there a motion to amend the firm's name?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say yes. Or discussion. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, is there seeing there's no discussion on that, we'll do just a voice vote. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay. Back to the main motion. Is there any further discussion on approving this contract for fiscal year 2017? Auditing services. Okay, seeing none, I ask for, did you have anything?
I just didn't know if there was a question for me or not. I thought-
It was, but Dr. Mitchell handled it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Clerk Domingo, please, roll call vote.
Councilmember Barnes.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Lawler.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes, city manager report.
Thank you. Mayor and council, I gave you at your desk a copy of the report. A lot of great things are going on. I want to remind you that on November 27th, we had that as a reserve date for a budget hearing, budget discussion, and the EDC has asked to have their presentation on that date. Also, we are expecting a more extended conversation with Gleason Vanderbrink in regards to the SAW grant and the results of their investigation as part of the SAW grant. So that's on November 27th at 7 p.m. Your next scheduled budget session is on November 13th, that Monday.
Nope, Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, Dr. Mitchell. So the 27th, the council will not have a budget session, but the EDC will be conducting theirs. Is that correct?
Kind of the other way around. As part of the council will be having a budget session that will include the EDC presentation of their budgets, which includes the TIF fund and the EDC fund and the revolving fund, all of those.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And also the EDC, they're working on what they're calling the Big Albion Plan. Stay tuned, it's still being formulated, but we're working as a community in conjunction with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation on a plan that is hopefully going to redevelop as many as 22 vacant and blighted properties in our downtown and adjacent areas. So we're really excited about trying to do a very transformative project that will impact a number of empty businesses. I think all of you have a copy of the job fair and preparation fair, that will be held at the Marshall Opportunity High School on Watson Street. That is free of charge. There is a requirement for participants to attend one of the preparation fairs where they can help you with resume writing or just preparation for interviewing. And we want to thank our sponsors, which include Michigan Works, Kellogg Community College, State Farm, Albion EDC, and Albion College Gerstacker Institute and Career and Internship Center. So those dates are November 28th, December 6th, and December 14th. The fair itself is going to be on December 14th, so if you aren't able to attend one of the other dates, you may be able to register for the prep fair and then go straight into the job fair. And we're looking forward to people applying for jobs for the New Albion Hotel, as well as with Oaklawn Hospital and some other local businesses. And Mayor and Council, I would like to put forth a request for a closed session under the Open Meetings Act, Section 15.26AA, part of Public Act 267 of 1976 as amended, to consider dismissal, suspension, disciplining or to hear complaints or charges against, or to consider a periodic personnel evaluation of a public officer, employee, or staff member of individual agent if the named person requests a closed hearing. Now, the language sounds pretty nasty, but all I'm doing is asking that we go back into discussion relative to my performance evaluation. And if we could look at a date that would meet with most of everyone's schedules.
Okay.
Just in terms of updates, Veterans Day will be celebrated and observed on Friday, November 10th, so City Hall will be closed. The Amazing Rake, we were ready thunderstorms had other ideas, so that's being rescheduled for Saturday, November 18th. It'll be a Saturday instead of a Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question. I don't know if you can answer. Since it's been moved to the 18th, are they still taking appointments? You know, there was a deadline. You are still taking them up until when?
Probably the Friday, maybe by the next evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it sounds like they're still taking appointments for people who would like to have the service, as well as volunteers who will help out with the raking. And we already heard about the Albion Aglow Parade and Downtown Open House. We're really excited about that. That will be Friday, December 1st. And this past week was a lot of celebrations. Decker Manufacturing Corporation celebrated their 90th anniversary and hosted a wonderful event on November 2nd. It was interesting to see all the tool and die and things that are being built right here in Albion that are going across not only the nation but the world. We are really proud of our local businesses. And as the mayor mentioned, Lewis Chapel AME Church celebrated their 100th anniversary, and the mayor presented a proclamation to the church and their organization. So there's a lot going on, and hopefully this meeting is being viewed on YouTube as we speak. So we're really excited about our new uses of technology. So it's essentially live streamed. I think it's about a 20-second delay. So we're looking forward to getting greater access to our meetings and other opportunities relative to the use of these technologies.
Thank you. Future agenda items. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. An update on the Dalrymple site, if possible.
Okay. Attorney Harkness.
Circle back to the medical marijuana facilities, not next meeting, but I was thinking December 4th. We should have at least a draft for discussion.
Okay. Any other future agenda items? One thing, and I'll talk to the manager afterwards, but I talked to Councilmember French after our last special meeting, and I know, considering the fact that, as the manager said, we're having kind of YouTube streaming and the fact that, you know, a lot of technology right now is operating at kind of 4K level, and I guess in light of the presentation that the Gerstacker students gave, you know, and it's budget time. So taking all that together, it might be helpful to have a discussion or to look at options for, you know, maybe upgrading the technology in council. I know we have the monitors, which are going to be helpful when it comes time for the budget presentation to the public, but just to look at, you know, if it's possible, either through, you know, our overabundant fund balance or through the Albion Trust, looking to see if what we can do to maybe have some improvements. So I'm just putting that as a future agenda item, and I'll follow up about that. Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for Attorney Harkness.
When's that? Oh, is that the? Okay, yes, the replay. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay. You said the December meeting, there should be a draft of the ordinance.
Yeah, I'll put together a draft based on your votes and discussion from the last meeting. I think the next meeting this month might be a little too tight, but for sure, December 4th, we have one that you guys could discuss, and that you guys are gonna have to come together. There's definitely gonna be a lot of blanks and underscores to make further decisions on. But I'll have that for you so you can look at it and kind of see where we need to add, where we might need to subtract and tinker and so forth. Because it's gonna be about, it's gonna be about a 15-page ordinance or something like that.
I'm wondering if, and I know we love meetings, right? If maybe it may be more productive to schedule a work session to go through that.
It's up to you guys.
Yeah, we probably could do
I
that.
just wanted to let you guys know that, I mean, I probably wouldn't have a draft until the first meeting in December, so.
Okay. We can poll council and see what dates would fit if we need to do that. Are there any other future agenda items from council this evening? Okay. Seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to excuse absent Councilmember French did indicate that he'd be out of town this evening. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Oh, okay. Moved in second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
No. Is there any opposed? Okay. What I'll do, public comments, or we might need to. Okay, so if there are any, citizen comments, will you please come forward? Ask you to, yes, ask you to limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Observe proper decorum, and please state your name and address.
My name is Earl Dees. I live at 412 East Broadwell. My concern is tonight is that last month, as they was tearing down Caldwell School, they did a good job of keeping the dust down by spraying water as they was tearing it down. But the problem came as when the big trucks were hauling the refuse out. It came a rain, and it created a lot of mud. And the street was cluttered with mud. And I came down and I talked to Dr. Mitchell. She was on her way to lunch, and so she sent me upstairs to the building inspector. So I surely want to thank him, because he went out and they washed the street down. But that didn't cure the problem. We still got a big problem out there when it's dry and the cars and the trucks and things be coming through. The dust and stuff that's raging through the air there. And it's just a mess out there. And so when you park on the street in the rain, and then your tires all got mud on them, you track it in the driveway into the garage. So I'd like for the council to come out and take a look at it and see what you can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council members, City Manager Mitchell, residents of the City of Albion, and those viewing this evening, good evening. My name is Gary Tompkins, and I'm your County Commissioner. It's always great to be back with you folks. First, going to lead off this evening with the COPS grant, which I know to date you have not heard anything from anybody regarding that. Is that correct?
Correct.
City Manager Mitchell? Well, I've been in contact with Billy Kirkman, which I think I've stated before, who's the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, and I've got a contact with the Department of Justice now, which the name is Prim Escalona, and unfortunately, she has not been very good in terms of responding to me yet at this point in time. So I'm going to continue to advocate for the City of Albion in terms of the fact that you're well-deserving in getting this grant. So I'm going to continue to push and follow up with that. Just want to give you an update there. On November 2nd, the Calhoun County Health Department issued a health alert regarding a potential hepatitis A outbreak in southeast Michigan. There have been 3 associated cases with this outbreak in Calhoun County alone. The health department is continuing its surveillance efforts and will rapidly investigate any suspected cases of hepatitis A in Calhoun County. The transmission of this disease is through direct person-to-person contact or illicit drug use. If you have any questions regarding hepatitis A, please contact the health department at 269-969-6363, and I do have a flyer here if you'd like to have it, and I'll share it with you afterwards. Recently at the Board of Commissioners meeting, we recently approved a 2017 apportionment report. This report shows all millage rates levied within Calhoun County by the various taxing jurisdictions, such as cities, villages, townships, and school districts. In the monthly newsletter that I have this month, you'll notice on pages 3 and 4, I actually have the apportionment report for each taxing jurisdiction within the 7th district, so that you can take a look at exactly where your tax money is going, and also on page 4 to have the ability for residents to be able to have a calculated formula to where they could actually calculate their annual taxes. I'm certainly a firm believer in total transparency in government, and residents deserve to know where their tax money is going. So whatever I can do to assist in that process, that's what I intend to do. And as always, my newsletter to the folks out there as well that are watching. My monthly newsletter was just released, and if you're interested certainly in subscribing to it, you can get, my email is Tompkins, Tompkins, cc7@gmail.com. You can drop me an email and I'll add you to the list, but also it is available, hard copies are also available at the Albion District Library as well. It's a great resource certainly for the 7th District, for residents in the city of Albion to know what's going on not only within our district, but also at the county level. And then finally this evening, I just want to take an opportunity with the Veterans Day upon us. I wanted to take the opportunity to recognize all who served our nation and certainly thank them for their service. I think it's important that we do that, especially with the trying times we're in today, and that goes for the folks out there as well. And then finally, and additionally, last but not least, I want to take the opportunity to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving holiday, and hopefully we have an opportunity to enjoy family and friends and whatnot on that date as a time to get away and just reflect and enjoy the holiday season. And that certainly goes for your viewers and for you folks, the residents of City of Albion. So unless there's any questions for me, it's always a pleasure to be with you this evening, and any questions for me? If not, thank you so much, folks.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Emily McClelland. I'm the AmeriCorps Vista with Star Commonwealth, helping at Harrington on the Resilient Schools Project. I wanted to let you know of an event coming up on Tuesday, November 14th at Harrington Elementary School from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It is open to parents, guardians, and community members. We are going to be discussing the new events that are happening at Harrington School, as well as some of the new events that are coming to the Albion, like the Globe. And we are also discussing the new Parent Academy, where we are giving trainings to parents, guardians, and community members that are very similar to what we gave all of the people involved with the school districts, the teachers and administrators. So again, that's November 14th, which is a Tuesday, from 6 to 7:30 at Harrington. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any?
Ms. Mitchell, it's a pleasure. Wayne Arnold, 906 Hall Street. I was kind of disappointed of all the meetings I wanted to make. I surely hate I missed that vote on the marijuana proposal. I wish I would have had time to comment on that before we took a vote on it, because I was really shocked that my friend and my constituent, she voted against this. And if I recall correctly, during the elections last year, I think myself, Councilmember Barnes, Councilmember Howler, I thought we, without hesitation, said that if a vote came up for a dispensary, and I think that was a question asked during the forum. I believe the cafeteria, I think the majority of the people probably was 50 years or older. So when the question came up with we approve a dispensary, it was resounding yes for me, Ms. Lawler, and Ms. Brown. So I was just curious. I see that you kind of walked that back, Ms. Lawler, and then the follow-up to that was then even the newspaper, we all went on record saying that we would be in support of that. And so, you know, I was kind of surprised at that. Now, you may or may not know, but during the election, I think 700 out of our precinct voted. And only 300 out of that 700 voted in our local election. So only 300 people out of 700 even cared to vote. So out of that 300, that means those had to be distributed amongst 3 candidates, okay? So basically that boils down to about a third of our constituency. And so I just didn't understand your position on that. I didn't understand why you would rescind that. But, and so that being said, it only boils down to, actually, it was only like a third of our whole constituency that even cared to show up. So I didn't understand what made you, rescind your position on that. And so what I'm saying, what I'm thinking is that, and so in actuality, I think that the city lost on this deal because, here's the thing, we got a chance for revenues, and I wasn't here, so I don't know the full impact of it, but I don't understand why a part of the proposal would be approved and the whole thing wouldn't be. So I probably would like, if you would, I don't know what we could do to bring this back to the forefront, but I think this is something that's needed, and I think that that's is something that would benefit the city. And so, I probably would ask that you probably get with
Mr. Arnold?
yes, time
Thank
is
you.
up.
That was 3 minutes, yeah.
Oh, wow, time flies fast. Okay, I'll take this up next week. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there, yeah, and one thing, just 1 second, just, I want to make sure too, I should say this going forward, is when comments are coming to council, if you could address them to me, I think that's probably the proper decorum, and not to kind of call out particular members, even though you can make reference to them. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Council, Manager Mitchell, everyone else. My name's Al Smith, 1209 Adams Street, also a member of your local American Legion Post 55. I just wanted to give you an update of what we have going on this month. You may notice now that the Toys for Tots boxes are out. We have a little over 40 boxes throughout Albion, Homer, and Marshall. If you don't know, your local American Legion post handles all of the Toys for Tots issues and the whole collection and distribution for the whole eastern half of Calhoun County. We work with the Marines out of Battle Creek, but we handle the eastern half of Calhoun County out of our post here in Albion. The boxes will be out until about December 11th, and toys will be picked up then. There are applications at most of the schools throughout Marshall and Albion, and also at the Housing Authority office and at the district library. Coming up on the 8th is our annual Swiss steak dinner. That'll be $10 for adults, $5 for kids under 7, $1 for dessert, or a toy for Toys for Tots. If you pay for the dessert, that dollar goes to Toys for Tots. On the 11th, Veterans Day, we will have a Veterans Toast and Remembrance for the Fallen, and also a free lunch for vets. On the 19th, we are going to have a Christmas toy auction. This will be put on for us by Rick's Auction House out on Michigan Avenue. It'll happen at the post. Just to help you out a little bit, there will be boxes available for Toys for Tots donations. But these are all going to be new toys, all brand new package and unwrapped toys. And judging from what he did last year, he's got some great quality and quantity of toys for us. And last but not least, as with every month, the last Sunday of the month, which will be November 26th, is our monthly pancake brunch. If you haven't been there yet, you really should come down. It's the best brunch in Albion. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. Is there any further public comment this evening?
Stacy Levin, Assistant City Manager. I see that a future agenda item has to do with technology, and we have our wonderful Albion College students here who did look into Google and Gmail. So if I can just call Sean real quickly to just speak of that. I thought it was important to get their perspective on this, and certainly we can do more research moving forward.
Hello again. Again, my name is Sean Barlett. I'm a junior from Albion College. Originally hometown's Ann Arbor, so not too far away. But the question has come up in our research surrounding around Google Drive and Google Documents as a whole. The reason why we did not recommend Google in the first place is that there's a lot of restrictions into the code and the requirements of municipal courts such as this to properly send documents from one place to another. Gmail's not as structured as Microsoft Outlook to handle such data and encryptions. So in reality, when you look to public safety documents that need to be encrypted and confidential, Gmail services aren't adequate enough to do that. So that's why we recommended the Microsoft Outlook and 360 as a whole. Furthermore, we at Albion College have used Google services for a while. It is friendly interface, it's pretty easy to use, but again, we've had a lot of networking issues with it and dropping, and transferring things over a cloud is dangerous within itself. So we again advise to go with the Microsoft services rather than Google as a whole. So I hope that helps. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment this evening? Okay. Seeing none, okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support, second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.